say something. I don't quote me. I don't want to butcher exactly what he said, but something along the lines of he goes backstage at NXT and everyone is sitting around making TikToks and doing stuff on their phone.
All right, guys, we back at Pink Square Circle. We gonna soon talk about Cora Jade, and also a little from Undertaker talking about these TikToks in WWE, and is it distracting wrestlers from getting better? Much more at the Pink Square Circle. Hey, guys, we back at the Pink Square Circle. We will talk about Cora Jade speaks on wrestlers and TikTok Backstage. Cora Jade talks about TikTok and WWE. You guys get the lights as we come into the Pink Square Circle. Now, Cora Jade did a recent interview with TMZ Inside the Ring, where she talked about, I know this is a big story going on of a former WWE talent that was a recruit that claimed that Cora Jade was bullying her and all that. That's the same interview, but that's not what the focus is here. The focus is Cora Jade speaking, which Undertaker spoke about a few weeks ago, which the recent wrestlers of today's age in today's modern day wrestling, they are doing TikTok backstage in the middle of a show or PLE instead of look over matches and how to get better as a wrestler. And I believe that Cora Jade and Undertaker are onto something here. Now, they both speak on it. Cora Jade speaks on it. And then, of course, we have Undertaker speak on it as well. But this has been a trend going on that it's just too much TikTok going on, not enough focus on wrestling, honing your skill and getting better at your craft. But let's see what Cora Jade had to say here at TMZ Inside the Ring.
After all that came out. So, it's just like, I'm not going to keep giving it, it is what it is. The truth always prevails. And I know the type of person that I am and the values that I have. And I remember when I came into Black and Gold, I had locker room leaders like Raquel, Dakota Kai, Ember Moon, like these girls that I looked up to who cared about wrestling so much, and they were leaders, and they made sure that the unspoken rules, the respect of wrestling, and the things that you do in the locker room behind the scenes and stuff like that, they all made sure that that was done. And then when they kind of went up, no one else was really left. It was like me, Lash Legend, Indy, JC, and like Roxy were kind of like the girls who had been wrestling the longest, and I might be missing a few others, but like we're kind of like the ones that were. And I remember like me, JC, Roxy, and Indy, we're all so close that we kind of had the same story. We were just indie fans who came from came into wrestling because we were fans of WWE, and we kind of had the same story, so we all just bonded, and we all kind of had the same story, and we would say like, we don't want this place to fall apart. Like, we want to continue the respect and the wrestling etiquette and the wrestling love and respect, all that type of stuff that the people before us did, and it just felt like that was slowly getting lost. And it broke my heart, honestly. Like, all of us would talk about it all the time, and it was never from a place of like, you're doing things wrong. It was like we just wanted to keep the love of wrestling. And I saw something of the Undertaker the other day, which is someone I've been a fan of forever and have so much respect and admiration for.
Me too.
And have been around. And I saw him say something. I don't quote me. I don't want to butcher exactly what he said, but something along the lines of he goes backstage at NXT and everyone is sitting around making TikToks and doing stuff on their phone instead of watching and learning from the matches.
Yeah,
and I'm like, this is what I've been saying for 3 years. And I'm like, it's only after he says it are people like, yeah, he's right. And I'm like, yeah, because it's The Undertaker. Of course he's right. But I also think that.
Yeah,
and
The Undertaker gets criticized sometimes too for saying that.
Exactly. And it's like, it's just, when I saw him say that, I just felt so validated, because I was like, thank you. Like, somebody else sees what I and like my friends and everyone we're just seeing, and like, it just broke our heart because we're all wrestling fans. It got to the point where it's not my hill to die on anymore. It's not my thing to care about anymore. It's just not my place anymore. And it just got, I throw my hands up. It is what it is. It is.
Seriously, old school dude, man. It's disheartening sometimes when I go to one of the shows, and if you can even find talent, and I've heard recent stuff that you've said, like even to catch talent backstage, watching matches, like most of them are filming TikToks and doing all this other which was even when I was still on the road full time and you were on the road full time. Just if you weren't sitting there watching the monitor, you were it was gonna be a bad day for you.
Now, Cora Jade, she came in at the end of Black and Gold NXT era. She's mostly known for the NXT 2.0, the colorful era. Now, she said she was around with Lash Legend, JC Jane, Mandy Rose, Roxanne Perez, Tatum Paxley, and a few others, that they had respect for wrestling business. And she's answering to what the girl's saying, Alexis Lady, talking about how the reason Cora Jade approached her like she did was because she saw that Alexis had no love for the wrestling business and no respect for it. And Cora Jade said that also in the interview, which I don't want to touch too much more on the story, that particular story, that she said that if you don't respect the business, you don't show me respect, I'm not going to respect you. So that was her response to that. But Cora Jade speaks on that part of how the people she saw before, the locker room leaders, they had mad respect for WWE and mad respect for pro wrestling in general, of how you should conduct yourself inside the ring and outside the ring. And that's how, she's not used to seeing TikToks or people approaching stuff like that. Now, Undertaker, a WWE Hall of Fame legend that we all know, he spoke about that. It was his interview with Gunther a few weeks ago, how back in his era, that stuff was not, TikTok obviously was not around, but after you had your Mac backstage, Vince McMahon was known for making wrestlers stay in the whole event, whether you went first or last, and everybody watched each other matches. And it was just traditional, old school way of respecting the sport. This is how watching matches of yourself and others, you got better. You asked for advice. You also, just learn a little bit from everybody. You don't have to be just from one particular person. But I will say Cora Jade and Undertaker they have a point with the whole wrestlers are doing way too much TikTok these days. And I'm pretty sure that WWE is seeing that. And I think that's led to reason. I'm a betting man. I would say that may play a part in the reason why some of the WWE talent, men or women, don't matter, get released because they don't care too much about wrestling. Now, Maven, who has a channel, Maven Huffman, he spoke about why he was released from John Laurinaitis years ago, and John Laurinaitis clearly explained to him very bluntly, you're not practicing your craft, you're not trying to get better, you have no respect for the sport. And that's pretty much what's going on here today's age of wrestling. They're not respecting the sport like they should, and they're not putting their feet first of getting better as a performer, practicing, staying in the performance center or where the developmental center was back then, OVW or FCW. And I think Cora and Undertaker both have a point. That's how the focus should be on today. Get better as a wrestler, practice, and don't BS around. And we see too much of that going around, especially today's era. Now, they may not be TikToking backstage, but they probably TikToking their off time when they should be wrestling in their off time and getting better as a performer. And it shows in some of their matches. Undertaker spoke about that also in the Gunther interview, how they're not getting better in their matches, how they're not practicing like they should, and how they should work hard and just get to the next level. Some of the best we ever hear in wrestling, they got better because they stuck around after matches. They put in hours. Some of these wrestlers have wrestling rings in their gyms. But that is too much TikTok going on these days. And I think it's just affecting the performance and how much they care of the wrestlers. And some of these wrestlers that are doing this, I don't know who in particular, that's why you see them at catering. That's why you don't see them much wrestling or doing anything else of that matter. It shows. It affects them all. I will say also that social media, since that's been, that's how most of us generally communicate through business, and especially of media, television, and production, and anything else for that matter. It has been a good thing, but it's also been a bad thing. And I think that people take this TikTok and Instagram way too far. They want to post everything, instead of keeping things private. And that's the whole result of kayfabe being done. But other than that, though, guys, that's all I have regarding Cora Jade speaks on wrestlers doing TikTok backstage. Cora Jade talking about WWE and Undertaker as well. You guys let me know what you thought of these wrestlers doing TikTok backstage instead of focusing on matches. You guys click the link below to the next video. Of course, then, guys, until then, guys, I will see you guys later.